He'd acted as if she'd been unable to control her baser urges in his presence. The conceit of the man had cured her of her brief fantasy almost immediately. If she were forced to be brutally honest with herself, which she would go to the grave avoiding, she'd have to admit that on the days when he crowded in next to her to help translate a text, his unique scent turned her body into a live wire. The musky, citrus smell of his skin had her wanting to bury her nose against his wide, muscular chest and inhale for all she was worth. And if, on her loneliest of nights, she fantasized about running her tongue along his corded neck or nuzzling his firm jaw with its perpetual 2-day beard growth, who could fault her? The blame could be firmly placed at the door of her dating dry spell. God, how long had it been since she got laid? She'd lost track around the 2.5-year mark. Her vajayjay was ready to stage a strike. Overly warm, Ryanne put the back of her hand to her sweaty brow. Maybe she really was coming down with something. Screw it. She was calling off work today. Decision made. She grabbed her smartphone, whipped off a concise email to Nash, and copied Liz in Human Resources. Both Nash and Liz tended to arrive early to work and would take the extra half hour to check for new messages. They'd be shocked Ryanne had asked for a day to herself, but her absence shouldn't cause a hardship. She'd settled into her plush leather couch with her second cup of coffee and palmed the remote when a banging on her door caused her to jump. The splash of scalding liquid on her hand brought a curse to her lips and tears to her eyes. Ryanne raced to the sink and ran her hand under cold water. "Son of a bitch," she muttered. The banging sounded again. Who the hell was at her door before 5 a.m.? She ignored the intrusion. The cold water took a small portion of the pain away. "Ryanne!" Bang, bang, bang. "Ryanne! Open the door!" Shock and Nash's frantic voice made her hustle to comply with his demand. Wrapping a dish towel firmly around her right hand, she hurried to open the door. Damned if she didn't have to catch her breath when she took in his tousled head of blonde hair on top of those well-formed shoulders that made her mouth water. Clearing her throat was a necessity. "Nash, what are you doing here?" "Your email said you were sick." "Okay, and you're here why?" His slashing dark blonde brows dipped and a deep frown line appeared in the center of his forehead. The scowl indicated he didn't appreciate the fine art of snark. If she hadn't been used to his thundercloud expression, she might have been a bit intimidated. "You're never sick," he stated, as if he was speaking to a dim child. "Still not getting why you're here, Nash. It's not life or death if I was able to make the time to email you." "You're ungrateful, you know that?" She closed her eyes and counted to 10. Really, she shouldn't be surprised. The man hardly slept and only lived 20 minutes away. She should have known he'd show up on her doorstep. Hell, if she'd taken the time to consider it, she would have been shocked if he hadn't. That was the essence of Nash. He needed to control every aspect of his life. Nothing was allowed to derail the day. But the man seriously tried her patience. If he weren't her boss, well, if he weren't her boss, she'd probably be all over him like, "Nope, not going there. That road was forbidden." With a heavy sigh, she opened her eyes. The intensity with which he was studying her caused her to swallow hard. When his frown deepened and he slowly raked her form with his gaze, her body went on high alert. Her breasts tightened with want, and her vagina became uncomfortably wet. Crap! She hated his ability to turn her on. No encouragement needed. For God's sake, he was only checking out her sleeping attire. Mr. Always impeccably dressed probably mentally faulted her mismatched tank sleep shorts and tattered robe. Once again, she felt her brow to see if her forehead was overly warm. "Do you feel faint?" Nash surged forward, scooped her into his arms, and kicked the door shut with his foot. "I've got you." Jesus, Mary, and Joseph! She was going to do it. She was going to lose control and lick him. As she leaned in, ready to take the plunge, he dumped her on the couch. Literally dumped her. "Dude!" she yelped. "Sorry, I lost my grip." Nash nearly laughed at Ryanne's incredulous glare. Phew, that was close. He'd nearly lost his ever-loving mind and succumbed to the overwhelming urge to kiss her. He perused her scantily clad body at length for a second time. While some people would consider her clothing cover enough, her ugly robe opened just enough to show off the outline of the hardened tips of her breasts, and created havoc in his mind, as well as other parts of his anatomy. She possessed the type of body to make a grown man weep. She had a petite hourglass figure that short-circuited his brain.